So what if I told you that the real secret to successful trading has almost nothing to do with those crazy complex charts or economic forecasts or any of that super sophisticated software? Today we are diving into a set of rules from a guy who traded for 20 years, and he puts psychology front and center.
Here's the core idea from our source, Douglas Zaleski. He basically says that success isn't about having the sharpest tools, it's about having the strongest self-control. You see it right there. Trading discipline is 90% of the game. He argues a lack of it is pretty much why most people fail. Which leads to this pretty wild question, right? This guy built a decades-long career in one of the toughest fields on the planet, all while admitting he didn't even know how to set up the most common trading tools. So, how is that even possible?
Well, to understand that, we first have to look at the man himself, Douglas Zaleski, and his, let's say, very unconventional path to mastering the market.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Most people who get into trading, they obsess over everything in that left column. You know, the fancy studies, the deep analysis. But Zaleski, he says his entire career was built on the stuff you see on the right. Pure discipline, a deep respect for the market, and just having the guts to get out of a trade fast. And seriously, he is not just being humble here. He flat out says he has zero formal training in all that technical stuff. But here's the twist. He sees that as a strength, not a weakness. His success is proof that you don't need to be some kind of economic genius if you can just master your own behavior. And this quote, man, it just says it all. It's not about trying to hit a home run on every single trade. It's about staying in the game. You do that by taking small, consistent profits and, just as important, by accepting those small, manageable losses before they turn into something that can really wreck your account.
So how did he actually organize this whole philosophy? Well, he came up with a framework that he calls the Wheel of Success, and it's the foundation for his entire approach.
The Wheel of Success is actually a really simple but powerful analogy. It breaks trading down into three key parts, like the spokes on a wheel, and all three of them have to work together to keep you moving forward.
Okay, so spoke number one is content. That's just the raw data like time and price. The second is mechanics. That's the physical act of getting in and out of trades, which, you've got to master. But that third spoke, that's discipline. That's your internal rule book. Now, out of those three, which one do you think matters most?
Yeah, according to Zaleski, it is not even close. Discipline isn't just one of three equal parts. He says it accounts for a whopping 90% of trading success. The other two, that's just the price of admission. Discipline is what actually wins the game. Okay, so if discipline is the key, how do you actually do it? This next part gets into the really specific, hard and fast rules for managing your own head when you're under pressure.
All right, rule number one is all about fighting greed. We've all been there, right? You're in a trade, it's making money, but you think, just a little more. You hold on, the market turns, and suddenly your winner is a loser. This rule is about taking the profit you have, not the one you're dreaming about. Trust me, there will always be another trade.
This sounds so obvious, I know, but it is maybe the hardest rule for people to follow. Zaleski says you almost always get this gut feeling when a trade is just wrong. The second you feel that, don't hope, don't pray, just get out. A small loss right now is always better than a huge one later.
Okay, this one sounds totally insane, right? Love to lose money? But what he really means is learn to accept small losses as a completely normal cost of doing business. When you stop fighting every little loss and just take it on the chin quickly, you free yourself from those catastrophic losses that can actually end your career.
And you see this theme over and over again in his other rules. See the pattern here? It is all about managing your losses. Keep your biggest loser smaller than your biggest winner. If you're in a slump, cut your trade size way down. You have to accept that small losses are going to happen, but a big loss is a choice.
And check this out. This is what it looks like in the real world. On a typical day, Zaleski could have just as many losing trades as winning ones. But because he cut his losers immediately, they barely cost him anything. His winners, even if they were small, were more than enough to make the entire day profitable. It's not about your win rate, it's about your loss management. So, following these rules isn't a one-time deal. The final piece of the puzzle is all about building a system that can last for the long haul. It's about the art of consistency. This might be one of the most powerful analogies in his entire philosophy. Don't try to be some brilliant artist creating a unique masterpiece with every single trade. No, be a bricklayer.
I mean, think about it. What does a bricklayer do? They show up every single day and they lay bricks. They use the same proven method every time. They're not trying to reinvent how to lay a brick. A disciplined trader finds a method that works and then just executes it relentlessly, trade after trade, day after day.
The goal here is simple. Hit singles, not home runs. The method is to just make a little bit of profit every day, and you'd be shocked how fast that adds up over a year. And the result? As you stack up those consistent small wins, you build this incredible, unshakable confidence and a real sense of control over what you're doing.
But of course, consistency requires action. Zelensky has a huge warning against what people call analysis paralysis. Waiting for that absolutely perfect setup that never actually comes. You don't get paid to analyze, you get paid to trade. So have a plan, and when your plan says go, you go. You can manage the trade once you're in it.
And this is the great equalizer. Every single morning, every trader in the entire world starts at zero. The market has no memory of what you did yesterday. It doesn't care about your feelings, and it definitely doesn't play favorites. The market is just the market. It is always right. Your success or failure comes down entirely to your actions.
Look, at the end of the day, the market is this impartial, incredibly powerful force, and it will absolutely crush anyone who doesn't respect its rules. So the only question that really matters isn't whether you can predict the market, it's whether you have the discipline to control yourself.